When I think of this final, if one word comes to mind, I think it would have to be destiny. Once again, for the 14th time actually, Real Madrid are champions. They have officially won twice as many titles as second-ranked AC Milan in the Champions League, and they absolutely deserved it based on this campaign. What's up everyone, I'm Adrian, and welcome to Rabona TV. Let's get right into this, man. The day really got off on the wrong foot. Apparently there was a ton of congestion at the turnstiles of the stadium caused by a bunch of counterfeit tickets that were purchased by Liverpool supporters, causing a ripple effect in getting people into the stadium, meaning some fans with genuine tickets were waiting for over 2 hours to get into the venue. That didn't stop the French cops from pepper spraying those that were standing outside of the stadium, which was bizarre behavior. You hate to see that, man. Can we also just have a big final where there isn't stupidity outside the stadium as there was at Euro 2020? There were also people hopping over the fences to get into the stadium for this Champions League final for free, which doesn't help the situation at all. But after a 36-minute delay, very precise from UEFA, we got into the action. Well, not really. The first half was pretty brutal. There wasn't much action for a lot of it. In fact, this match was just a typical major final. Very careful approach from both sides, trying to keep it tight while just throwing little jabs at their opponent to test out their defense and see if there are any areas that they could exploit. As the half wore on, Liverpool began converting their possession into half chances. Mo Salah's off-balance, relatively easy effort tested Courtois, and then the confusion happened. The offside call that took what felt like 20 minutes to make. I won't explain exactly what happened. If any of you are still confused by it, here's why the goal was ruled out. So with Benzema behind the goalkeeper, the two defenders behind the keeper effectively become the last man, while Robertson's presence is seen as he is now the keeper. So Benzema is undoubtedly in an offside position, as you can see here, right? So that's all good there. Now, the question became, well, did Fabinho/Konate make a deliberate effort to play the ball? Because when a defender makes a deliberate effort to play the ball and it ends up with the opponent still, then that negates the offside. However, a deflection, such as the one that went off of Konate and Fabinho, is not a deliberate attempt to play the ball. They're trying to tackle, but in fact viewed simply as a deflection. And so therefore, with Benzema in the offside position, the goal was called off, and rightfully so. In fact, shout out to Axel Ochoa for sending me this example of a similar scenario. Similar, but without the deflection aspect, in which Spurs are playing Chelsea in January. Kane is behind both Kepa and the defender, while Rudiger is effectively the keeper. This too was called for offside for Kane. So yeah, that was incredibly confusing, but the right call in the end, thankfully. Now, while Liverpool had more of the ball, Real Madrid, for the most part at least, looked like the more dangerous team when they would go forward. This Liverpool back line, I'll say it again, is not the Liverpool back line of old that didn't let anyone through. Part of that can come down to Konate, as for all of the good he brings, which he had some great tackles on Vinicius and showed just how strong and fast he is. I just would feel really uncomfortable having him play on the same side as Trent. Both of them have an error or two in them in defense. Both of them are liable to switch off, and that kind of happened, with Trent at least. Don't get me wrong, Real Madrid's goal was more down to Valverde's brilliant ball than it was a mistake from Trent. In fact, it almost feels like calling it a mistake is a bit harsh, but you have to know that Vinicius is going to be playing off of your shoulder like that and position yourself accordingly. But credit again to Valverde for the brilliant ball. Like I said, it was more of a great ball than it was a lapse from Trent, but I feel like that could have ended differently for Liverpool. For example, Real Madrid put in a masterclass of blocking crosses and balls into the box, let alone the 9 attempts that they blocked as well. And if they didn't block the cross or the attempt and Liverpool had a strike at goal, Thibaut Courtois was there to stop everything. Every single strike was saved by Courtois, who for me was the man of the match. In fact, if it wasn't for Benzema, you could argue that Courtois was the MVP of Real Madrid's entire tournament, really. He had a bad start at Real Madrid in his first season, but he has been lights out ever since, pretty much. In fact, while we're talking about defending and goalkeeping, Real Madrid's backline has been there for the taking at times in this run, but Courtois was again arguably their MVP of this run, as he actually set the record for the amount of saves made in the Champions League season, beating the record formerly held by Peter Cech. Courtois made 59 saves in this Champions League campaign, and he deserves a ton of credit for this victory. And going back to the first words from this video, going back to destiny, the more this match wore on, the more it just felt like Liverpool would not find a goal. This was what Real Madrid do, and this is what I said at the beginning of the game during our live watch along. The longer it goes on at 0-0, the better for Real Madrid, because they come alive in the last 30 minutes of the game. They take advantage of your frustration. They are so good at attacking and stealing a goal from limited opportunities, which builds the anxiety in their opponent late in the game when they fall behind and they're trying to find a goal and they start playing a little bit desperate. Real Madrid had 4 shots in this game, just 4, and they scored with 1 of them from 2 shots on target. It's destiny, man. I swear, this Champions League campaign has proven that football heritage is real, as I said in a previous video after Real Madrid knocked out Man City. Every time they needed a goal, they got it. Every time they needed a save from Courtois, they got it. Every time they fell behind, they clawed their way back in again and back ahead again. Every hardship they hit along the way, they were able to overcome somehow. And that's why it just felt like they were destined, in my opinion. If it wasn't Benzema, it was Vinicius, it was Rodrigo, it was Courtois, it was Modric, etc., etc. Over and over again, Real Madrid would rise to the occasion and defend against potent attacks, save or slip through some of Europe's best defenses. And that's what has to be reiterated here. Well, this final was not great, and it wasn't even Real Madrid's best performance. They hardly ever are your best performance in the final. They were absolutely deserving of this title because of the run they went on. They lost their first match against Sheriff, yes, but then they had a perfect group stage from then on. They beat PSG by coming from behind. They then beat the defending champions Chelsea, and then they beat the Premier League champions Manchester City in an epic fashion every single time. They didn't have an easy run to the final. Absolutely not. As for Liverpool, it felt like this was a team that had played so many matches this season. 38 matches in the Premier League season, 2 cup competitions, and a Champions League run. That's a congested schedule. And it's not like they had secured the title with 4 matches remaining as Real Madrid and Ancelotti had, so they could rest players. They were chasing Man City right until the end. I'm not bringing this up as an excuse for them or anything, by the way. Just stating what I see. They were playing like a team that was 1 match away from vacation at times. Not for lack of effort at all, just a lack of sharpness. Perhaps with more sharpness, they would find a way through the defense or find a better finish to beat Courtois. Mind you, Mané's attempt in the first half was pretty damn good, and Courtois was just, he was up for everything. Now, this has got to be said. I love Klopp. He's a great manager, but if you look at Klopp's record in European finals, it is damning. Very damning. From 4 Champions League finals, he's won once. Including that Europa League final, he has lost 4 of the 5 European finals he's been in. Again, I like Klopp and I think he's one of the best managers in the world, but in finals, European finals that is, yikes. That said, you can still say they had an incredible season. Their point total would have won them the league more times than not, so long as a Guardiola City wasn't around. They won 2 cups, and they made the Champions League final. A season to be proud of, if not incredibly disappointed with how close you came to securing the titles that you ultimately just failed to win. But still, 2 out of 4 is not bad. And in speaking about Klopp, you got to give it up to Carlo Ancelotti. Again, he took a good team and made it great a year after they had spent their first season in 8 years, really, without a single piece of silverware. And he won not only the league, but delivered a Champions League as well, just as he showed up for the 2013-14 season and delivered the Champions League after a season without a trophy. Ancelotti became the first manager ever to win 4 Champions League trophies, 2 for AC Milan and 2 for Real Madrid. He is officially in a class of his own in that regard, just as Real Madrid are in a class of their own by a long shot when it comes to Champions League pedigree. So congrats to the Real supporters out there, commiserations to Liverpool supporters, and a congrats to Karim Benzema for his Ballon d'Or. On to Thibaut Courtois, who will hopefully get the praise he deserves for his performance in this tournament. Guys, thanks for sticking with me for yet another season of the Champions League. I hope you enjoyed some of the coverage from me this season. As always, I had so much fun covering it, and I hope that showed through both these videos and, of course, the watch-alongs. The watch-alongs are always a blast. We have some big laughs during those. More content coming this week, fellas and ladies. I'm Adrian, and be well. Ciao.